We are less than a week away from spring training. Major League Baseball season, for what we know of it, will be back for at least one more year before a lot of drama and a lot of stuff is going to happen after the 2026 season. But guys, do us a favor, kick back, relax, because Hitting Home is back on 609 and it starts right now. And welcome everybody back into Hitting Home, only here on 609 Sports Talk Radio, coming to you guys live this morning from basically any place in the country that's freezing cold, because that's all it's been for the past week and a half, and it ain't stopping. And we are your hosts, Sam Nelson, and I am joined by a man who does not need a big introductory. We know who he is. He has been guesting on 609 for a while now, but now we want to welcome him to a full-time role of Hitting Home, Dustin Reese. Dustin, first off, how are we doing this morning?
You might be freezing. We're warming up. We're having a 33-degree heat wave today.
Yeah, we're going to hit about 32 today. So, it may be a beach day. It just may. We got to go see how the water's looking, but it may be a beach day today. So, look, we have a first episode of Hitting Home. We got a jam-packed show. We're going to talk about the state of Major League Baseball to end the show. We know that. We know people have their opinions. We know people are annoyed. People hate the Dodgers. People hate a lot of things. I get that. We're going to talk about that later. We're going to go through a little bit of the best remaining free agents in Major League Baseball. Now with spring training less than a week out, there are still some players that are unemployed. One of them, of course, is Framber Valdez, which we'll talk about him later on. But we're going to start off. It's been a hectic offseason. There's been a lot of drama. There's been a lot of people are upset. There have been some teams that have improved. Then there have been some teams who have chosen to go alternate routes, or there's just teams that are so dumb, they just want to run it back with the same group of 35-year-olds every day. I'm not going to mention any names. I'm just going to sit here and shut my mouth about that. I'll get to about that team in a minute, because I'm going to have an issue. But Dustin, why don't we just jump right into it? Off-season winners and losers. Now, I did 4 teams each. I feel fairly comfortable with the 4 I got. So how do we want to do this? Do we want to give all our winners, or do we want to kind of rotate back and forth?
We can rotate, because if we end up having one team that's the same anyways, it's just going to cancel out.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to make it a lot easier. So you know what? I'm going to get some things taken care of here. I'll let you start off. So do you want to start with a winner, or do you want to start with the loser?
I'll start off with a winner.
Okay, what we got?
Obviously, I got to say the Cubs are one of the winners. They came into the offseason needing starting pitching depth because Justin Steele's coming back from Tommy John. And you have a bunch of guys like Matthew Boyd, who had a breakout year last year. There's no guarantee that he can do that again. You had a rookie in Cade Horton who had a breakout year last year. There's no guarantee that he does that again. So they needed to address at least that part of their roster. Traded for Edward Cabrera, which, yes, there is some injury history with him. I get it. But they really only had to give up one good prospect to get him. So even to get him, they didn't give up a ton to get him. They gave up Owen Casey, which is the prize of the deal, but then they gave up a couple mid-tier prospects that were years away from the majors anyway, so that basically becomes a 1v1 trade at that point anyways. And then after losing Kyle Tucker in free agency, everyone knew that the Cubs needed to add another bat to their lineup, so they went out and got Alex Bregman, a guy that made it publicly known several times last year that he wanted to sign with the Cubs last year. But for whatever reason, the two sides couldn't come to a deal last year. Well, they definitely made sure that wasn't going to happen this year, and they ended up getting him this year. And then on top of that, they've spent $27 million to address the back end of their bullpen.
Well, yes, and I agree. And I have the Cubs as a winner too. So we can easily make this very quick and easy about them. But let me ask you this. Since you're the Cubs guy, I want to ask. I like the Alex Bregman move. I think again they needed that bat, middle of the order guy. Was having a really fine year in Boston last year before he got hurt. Do you think personally? Do you think Bregman is a better fit for them than Kyle Tucker was?
The way the field conditions are, yes.
Okay.
Kyle Tucker, I think, got exposed last year a little bit because you look at what he did with Houston. He had all the power hitters around him, but he was also playing in a park where it's 326 down the right field line with a 4-foot high fence, or it's 315 down the left field line and you have the Crawford boxes, so you don't really have to hit the ball that hard to put it out the ballpark. You go to Wrigley. Wrigley's got the deepest foul poles in baseball. 353 down the right field line, 355 down the left field line. You have the wind coming off the lake. Like, you actually have to hit a ball 400 feet to sometimes even put it in that basket. And Kyle Tucker, even when he was healthy last year, he was hitting home runs, but not at the clip that he did in Houston. The way that Kyle Tucker is, I don't think Wrigley Field plays well for his strengths versus Alex Bregman is more of a line drive hitter. He's not somebody that is going to hit 400-foot home runs. He's going to hit like 380, 385-foot home runs because he's a line drive hitter. But he's also one of those gap-to-gap hitters where he can drive guys in with doubles and stuff.
Oh yeah, I agree. And like I say, Bregman also fared well in Houston too with the Crawford boxes, like we brought up. But like you said, one thing that people really, in my opinion, what I think people undervalue in Major League Baseball is gap to gap power. It ain't about, all right, you hit 40 homers, that's nice. But when you can hit about 25 and then drive like 40 balls into the gap a year, that's valuable. I don't think a lot of people look into that. I think we all just look at, launch angles and power numbers. It's like, guys, I love home runs too. But you don't, they're not the end all be all the world here. I mean, I'm a fan of a team that tried that, and we haven't been able to freaking hit our way out of a postseason series in 3 years. But no, I do like the addition of Bregman. Sums up that hole at third base. Damn good infield now. Bregman, Swanson, Nico Horner. I'm assuming he's going to be on the team. There were some trade rumors.
Yeah, he'll be on the team for at least this year.
I would say there were some rumors going around during the offseason. That was kind of, I'm sitting there like, why would you get rid of a Gold Glove second baseman?
Yeah.
Who hits well with runners in scoring position? Another thing that people don't take into account anymore in this day and age of baseball. But
363.
That's ridiculous. I don't think I have a guy on my team that can hit that. And of course, like you said with Edward Cabrera, needed a guy front of the rotation. Give the ball to. Look, they had a solid rotation last year. It was solid, but you need the guy at the top. If you're not going to have a strong one of like 3 to 4 guys, you need to have the strong guy at the top at least. Yeah. And I felt like they had a bunch of really good guys that could give you innings every night, but having the guy at the top is the important part. And like you said about Justin Steele, he's coming back from surgery. Javier Assad only pitched, 10 games last year, was it?
6 or 7, no, 8 games, 7 starts.
Okay, so he's still got to see where he's going to be at now that he's going to have a full offseason. The hope is he'll get back to the regular workload that he's used to, but you don't want to put all the eggs in that basket.
Yeah.
You want to have a guy that can come right in and do what he's doing. So,
I mean, their only issue that I have, and it's a good problem to have, I guess, is they're planning on using a 6-man rotation this year due to the injury history, Cabrera, due to Steele coming back from surgery. Like, they're planning on going with a 6-man rotation this year. But right now, as the roster sits, they have 11 starters. You can't
11 starters.
Yeah, you can't physically keep 11 starters. You can't send all these guys down to the minors because some are out of options. So I guess what is your plan with some of these guys that you know aren't going to start? Because I mean, you got Boyd, Imanaga, Horton, Tyone, and Cabrera are going to be your 5 to open the season, and then Justin Steele slides in. You still have Javier Assad. You still have Colin Ray, who made 27 starts last year, filling in for Justin Steele. So that's 2 more starters you have to throw in there. You have Jordan Wicks, who's made 24 starts. You have Ben Brown, who's made 23 starts. Like, they have so many starting pitching options, you can't physically go with all 11.
Fun fact, Ben Brown was acquired for the ageless David Robertson a couple years ago.
Yes, he was.
Oh, what a move that was! I swear to God, if David Robertson comes out of retirement and joins the Phillies in July, I'm not watching another game for the rest of the year. I'm done. But now you brought up again with the Cubs. We talked about Edward Cabrera, what he means. We talked about Alex Bregman, the bullpen now. When we talked earlier in the offseason, do you realize how much of a loss that Keller was going to be when he signed over with Philly?
Mhm.
So if I miss anybody, please stand to correct me. They've added Hunter Harvey,
That's the one that I think is going to replace Keller.
Phil Maton,
Yep.
Hobie Milner,
Yep.
and Jacob Webb.
Yep. They re-signed Caleb Thielbar and brought Thielbar back.
Yes, and Thielbar had a very nice year last
Yep.
year for Chicago.
And then they added like 5 or 6 more guys on minor league deals, but they all have invites to spring, so one or two of those guys is probably going to get into the pen as well.
So do you think, I know losing Keller is big, but Hunter Harvey, I think that's a lot of upside there.
Yeah, Harvey, I like Phil Maton. For a guy that throws 88, Phil Maton's been one of the best relievers in baseball the last 3 years.
He has. He was great.
And that's going to be a guy that I think is going to ultimately replace Drew Pomeranz for what Pomeranz brought to the table last year.
Yeah, I forgot they lost Pomeranz too. I totally forgot about that.
The thing with bullpens are you have so many of these teams that want to spend $20 million a year on a closer. They want to spend all these 3-4 year deals on relievers. Building a bullpen is the hardest job in baseball because they're so volatile. Where you could have an all-star reliever one year and then the next season he completely shits the bed because of forgets how to throw strikes. So that's why when it comes to building a bullpen, I've always been one of those guys that would I like to have a closer for 4 years? Yeah. But at the same time, if you're going to build a bullpen, I'm fine with these 1 or 2 year deals because you never know how these relievers are going to be 1 year to the next. So if you sign a guy and they pitch well, good for you. But if you sign a guy and they pitch terrible, then you're not tied to him long term.
Exactly. The Phillies kind of did that for the past few years before they got Duran. They were giving Kimbrel 1 year deal. They were bringing David Robertson in. They were freaking just finding guys to bring in. And because the thing is, baseball with bullpens now, it's not like you can only have we have 4 deep in the bullpen. We're good. No, in the playoffs now you need like 7 deep because starting pitching department, you need a lot of it, but the leashes are thin in the postseason. A guy gives up a home run, you're like, all right, you're done. So, having a bullpen that is 7 to 8 guys deep is valuable, and getting those guys on those 1 year deals is big. So, Brad Keller's a big loss, yes, but you brought a bunch of guys in that could still have that upside. Jacob Webb's a really solid addition. Hobie Milner is very tough on lefties. Like you said, Phil Maton throws 88 miles an hour, but the guy just gets guys out. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, he's signed to a 3 year deal, so he's somebody that actually put a little bit of a commitment on.
And Hunter Harvey, 1 year deal, correct?
Yep, 1 year, $8 million, but he can touch 102, 103. So there's a lot of potential just on that alone.
Yeah, he only pitched 12 games last year, but the guy came back and he gave up a run.
Yeah.
He's been dealing with injuries for this past year, but in 2024, when he pitched in 49 games between KC and Washington, he struggled. But when he came back from that injury in 2025, he pitched well in the time that he was on the mound. So you're hoping, again, it's a guy with high upside who, honestly, could kind of make sense for that Brad Keller type role. Another guy, high velocity, that could possibly do something with it. So now, before we move off the Cubs, I do want to ask because, Bregman's there now. The infield's kind of set. Where does that leave somebody like Matt Shaw?
Ben Zobrist.
Oh, dear.
They're ready. They've already said they've been working him in the outfield already. So he's been at spring training for the last couple of weeks, kind of on his own doing outfield work. They plan to basically start him 5 days a week in spring training this year and just putting him at 5 different positions: left field, right field, second, third, short, maybe some center, and just to kind of move him around. And that's going to be ultimately their plan this year, is to use him like a Ben Zobrist, where you're just going to play not every day, but a large chunk of the week, and you're just going to go here, 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 and here, and just give guys days off.
Because right now, the outfield would be PCA, Ian Happ, and Suzuki?
Yep.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't Suzuki mostly a DH last year?
Yep. Because Tucker wasn't right.
Yeah. And then Tucker got some DH late because of the injuries. So,
Yep.
all right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, the Cubs, I don't see how they're not a winner. I mean, some people say that, Bregman could be a lesser of a bat than Tucker. But again, Tucker, I mean, he was okay last year. Was not the player that I think Cubs fans expected. I mean, but again, when you're playing Houston, it's kind of gets you got to get the numbers jumped a little bit with that ballpark.
Right.
By the way, Houston, bring back the hill. The ballpark's boring without it.
Not only the hill, the flagpole.
Yes, bring the flagpole back so Jim Edmonds can almost knock himself out again. All right, so we both had the Cubs, so that knocks off one of mine. So I'm going to go into one of my winners, and I'm going to go with this. This is going to hurt. I'm twitching as I say it. The New York Mets.
Yep, I have them too, so we can take them off mine also.
Because I mean, look, they brought in Juan Soto, and they gave that regime one more chance with Juan Soto, and they said, if you guys can't win it now with him, what do you want from us?
Right.
And they have completely revamped the entire team. I mean, Brandon Nimmo, gone. Jeff McNeil, gone. Edwin Diaz, gone. I think am I missing anybody else? Pete Alonso, gone.
Yeah, Pete Alonso, yeah.
I was saying, I know I'm forgetting somebody here. But, I mean, they've revamped a lot. I mean, they brought in Jorge Polanco, who I really think is a underrated addition.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, big time at bats in the postseason for Seattle. I think Seattle is going to miss him a lot. I mean, I think Seattle's had a decent offseason, but losing Suarez with all that power and then losing Polanco, who had big time at bats down the stretch when you needed it, looks like he's going to be playing a lot of first base for the Mets. They bring in Bo Bichette. This is a touchy subject for me, but when Bo Bichette's healthy, you saw it last year. Bo Bichette's one of the best players in the game.
Yep.
290 batting average, 18 homers. Another guy I said, does he have 30, 40 homer power? I wouldn't say 40. I think Bo could hit 30 in the right ballpark.
Yeah.
But he had 18 last year. What do you have, like 45 doubles? He was on pace for 50.
The guy missed 32 or 33 games towards the end of the season. He still finished with 94 RBIs. So the guy was going to have over 100 RBIs.
Oh, and not to mention, when he got healthy, he just came into the World Series and started raking.
Yeah, and he hit like a 312 anyways before he got hurt. So I mean, the guy was going to be a 25 homer, 100 RBI guy had he not gotten hurt. And that's
most likely a 50 double guy. He had 44 last year.
Yeah. Like when they lost Alonso, you knew they needed to get another bat in that lineup. Granted, Bichette's not going to produce at the same level Alonso does when it comes to home runs and maybe even RBIs, but he's a better overall player than Alonso. That's not even close. So you're actually upgrading your offense by adding him to your lineup.
Yeah, and I mean, the top of that order, you're going to have Lindor, Bichette, Soto, and now the next couple of guys, and I think Jorge Polanco is probably going to slide into that 4 spot behind Soto.
He'll probably hit 5th.
But now, the next couple of players that we're talking about, they kind of need some bounce back type seasons from them. Mark Vientos. If Mark Vientos plays anywhere near what he did on that 2024 team, there's your 4-hole hitter.
Yeah. There's
your protection for Juan Soto. Marcus Semien, I don't personally know. This was really just trading a contract for a contract. I mean, the Rangers needed outfield help. The Mets wanted some what they believe is an upgrade in the infield. I like Marcus Semien. Guy has trouble staying healthy sometimes, but even though he has played over 158 games, 4 times in the past.
He's probably your number 6 hitter.
And then there's the wild card of all wild cards, and Luis Robert.
See, that right there, he is a wild card. But what you said about Mark Vientos, you can say the same damn thing about Luis Robert. Because in 2023, Luis Robert was a front runner for the AL MVP. Pretty much the entire season until the final month of the year. And then 2024, he still had a good year, but not MVP level, but when your team loses 130 freaking games, like I don't think anybody really gives a crap how you're doing anyways. And then last year he was hurt so much. Luis Robert to me, I think, is the key to that whole lineup because I'm not saying he's going to get back to his MVP level, but if he can get anywhere close to where he was in 2023, he becomes your number 4 hitter. Viento slides to 5, Polanco slides to 6, and Simeon slides to 7. Like Luis Robert has 40-40 potential, and if he can get close to that, that lineup is a lot deeper now than what it was.
Well, I absolutely agree. And then if you go to their pitching staff, I mean,
that's
getting
the key. Right? That's the key of Freddie Peralta.
That burns my ass so bad that they got Freddie Peralta. But again, a rotation that they have a pretty solid rotation if everything goes right. Now, could they use one more? Sure. Who couldn't use another starting pitcher at this point into the offseason? Mm-hmm. But, I mean, if you get from Freddie Peralta what you got out of him in Milwaukee last year, frontline guy, no doubt. You look at the rest of the rotation. Kodai Senga, he's healthy, still has really good stuff. Sean Manaea, can you get back to what he gave you in 2024? Can you get back to that version of Sean Manaea? If so, you're in good shape. I'm still looking here, this freaking thing. I mean, Clay Holmes, I'm still not a big fan of him being a starter.
I think Manaea is ultimately going to be out of the Mets rotation.
Oh, you think Manaea is out?
Yeah, I think he's going to be in the bullpen because you're going to have, obviously, Peralta's going to be your ace. There's no denying that he's going to be your ace. You're going to have probably Kodai Senga is going to be your 3. Nolan McLean's going to be your 2. Nolan McLean is a dog.
Oh, he is.
He'll be your number 2. David Peterson's probably your 3, or probably your 4. And then you're going to have Clay Holmes as your 5, and then they have that rook that technically he's still considered a rookie, but if he makes 3 starts, then he's not a rookie anymore. But that Jonah Tong, who they called up last year, he struggled last year. He was 2-3 with a 7.71, but when he was in the minors, his ERA was like a 1.4, and he was averaging 14 strikeouts per 9 innings as a starter.
Yeah, and another one that you can throw in there is also Tobias Myers, who they got also in the Freddie Peralta deal.
And he'll be kind of in that same wavelength as Sean Manaea, where theoretically Tobias Myers probably starts the season as the number 5 starter until they can see how Jonah Tong does, but then you can also move him to the bullpen to give you more flexibility that way.
Yeah, I mean, this is a rotation that if they need some things to go right, but they can figure this out. And again, could they still be in the conversation for Framber? Yes. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes here. But
Nolan McLean, I think, is going to be a Cy Young candidate next year. Maybe not this upcoming year, but in 20. I shouldn't say next year. Whenever baseball returns after this year.
Yeah. Whenever we get baseball after this year, yes, we. Well, I mean, you look at what he did last year in 8 games. I mean, 5-1. 2.06 ERA, 57 strikeouts at 48 innings.
And the thing about that 2.06 ERA, he gave up 7 runs against the Cubs. You take that start out, his ERA is at 0.4.
Yeah.
He's got nasty stuff.
He does. And if the Mets are able to get that rotation healthy and to a point where some things go right, they could be dangerous. Now, bullpen-wise, a lot of change. Mm-hmm. Edwin Diaz out. They've brought in Luis Garcia, who I cannot believe is still pitching. They brought in both ex-Yankees late-inning guys, Luke Weaver and Devin Williams. How do you feel like that bullpen could shake out? Because that could be a little bit of a concern.
I mean, right now they do have Tobias Myers listed in the bullpen. So that actually
that'll help.
That'll help because you can use them in a variety of ways. Devin Williams is about as volatile as a shaken up bottle of Coke and Mentos, where you have no idea when he's going to explode or when he's actually going to get people out. But when he's on, he is one of the better closers in the game. Luke Weaver, solid reliever. Brooks Raley, a very good left-hander. Very underrated left-hander that no one talks about. But they also have AJ Minter, too. AJ Minter's another great lefty that pitched a long time with the Atlanta Braves and was one of the better playoff relievers for a 3-year run.
I
So,
don't need to be reminded how good AJ Minter is. Trust me, none of my hitters were hitting him for 4 years.
so I think the back of their bullpen is fine. It's going to be that 6th, 7th, and even like 5th inning role where it's going to be interesting because you have Huascar Brazoban, guy throws hard, but not much else to say about that. Luis Garcia, you have Dylan Ross, and you have Joey Gerber. Like those are a bunch of unproven guys that you're going to have to give 2 of them spots in your bullpen after spring. So which 2 are you going to count on? And if those 2 are struggling to get outs during the regular season, you're just shortening your bullpen instead of lengthening it.
Yeah, I agree. But again, you're hoping that maybe some of your early middle relief gets kind of spent by your starting pitching, giving you almost 6
or like I said, you put Manaea and Tobias Myers in your bullpen. Then your bullpen, I think, is set because you have 2 guys in your pen that can go multiple innings. 2 guys in your pen that can get lefties and righties out of Manaea and Myers. So now you can actually play around with your bullpen a little bit more because depending on matchups, you could throw Myers for 3 innings. And then you can go to the back of your bullpen, or you can go Manaea for 3 innings and then go to this guy, then go to this guy, and you actually give guys days off without taxing your pen at the same time.
Yeah, I mean Manaea. I mean, if you can't, if they did move him to the bullpen, I mean that arm angle against lefties out of the pen, where you can kind of up the velocity a little bit because you're not going 5 innings a night. Mm-hmm. That already is a starter. That's not fun to deal with.
No.
So, all right, let's move on to another winner. Dustin, who else do you have?
Well, since we talked about Bo Bichette, I got to throw Toronto in there.
Okay.
I mean, this is a team that I think, I'm not going to say they overachieved last year. I think it just took them a while to get to where they wanted to get. But then they took the Dodgers 7 games in the World Series. And not only that, they went extra innings in that last game. So they were very close to knocking the Dodgers off. And they don't want this to be like a 1-year wonder. They want to continue to get back there. So they go and spend $210 million on Dylan Cease, who now is going to anchor that rotation for the next I'm not going to say 7 years, but at least the next 4 years he's going to anchor that rotation. Then you probably drop him to the number 2 or number 3, which if that's your number 3, yeah, that's a problem. You also go and signed Kazuma Okamoto, basically essentially to replace Bo Bichette on a 4-year, $60 million deal. You go and get Tyler Rogers on a 3-year deal for your pen. Shane Bieber, who finally looked healthy last year, opted into his contract. So he immediately becomes your number 3. You have the freak of nature, Trey Savage, who came out of nowhere in the playoffs last year, is now going to be your number 2. And then you also got Cody Ponce. Cody Ponce was a right-hander who hasn't pitched in the majors since 2021, and his last go-around in the majors was, if you want to say ugly, you'd be putting it lightly. He was 0-6 with a 9.81 ERA. But he's gone to Japan the last couple of years, and he's coming off a season in Japan where he made 29 starts, went 17-1 with a 1.89 ERA in 100 innings, walked 41, and struck out 262. So he's probably going to be he's probably going to be their number 4 starter in that rotation. And then you still have Jose Barrios, who's now probably the best number 5 starter in baseball.
Yeah, the Blue Jays rotation is ridiculous. The Dylan Cease move just makes them so much deeper, so much better. And like you said, it's a team that we don't want to say they overachieved. I mean, but to go from worst to AL champions is pretty damn. Especially not knowing what we were getting.
I think most people had him as a playoff team. I don't think a lot of people had him winning that division. I think most people had him like as a wild card team. I just don't think anybody had him as a World Series team last year. That's why I'm going to say that's why I don't want to say they overachieved, because ultimately they got to the playoffs, which is where I think a lot of people thought they would get. But then they ended up just getting hot at the right time because Bo Bichette came back right before the playoffs started. Trey Savage turned into an ace during the playoffs, which he wasn't a bad pitcher during the regular season, but he wasn't at the same level he was during the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm excited for a full year of Trey Savage in that Blue Jays rotation. I'm excited to see what he's going to bring.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this is where we actually go in separate ways here. I also have an AL East team, but it's not the Toronto Blue Jays. I have the Baltimore Orioles.
Okay.
Look, you've got one of the most hitter-friendly ballparks in the league. Take advantage of it. So for Baltimore last year, it was rough, yes, but they still have a core there. I mean,
They do.
they still have Gunnar Henderson. They still have Jackson Holiday, who played solid at times last year. So hopefully this is just a trending upward for him. Still have Ryan Mountcastle, who really needs to bounce back. Did not have a good year. Only played 89 games, but Gunnar Henderson, easily one of the best shortstops in the game. Down year again with power. Went from 37 homers in 2024 down to 17. But the lineup had flaws. Yep. And I'm in the understanding that if you have a ballpark that is trending, where the ball can leave over the fence a lot, you should probably go get some guys that do that well. Well, they went out and got Taylor Ward, who in Anaheim last year hit 36 homers, drove in 103 runs, and hit 228, but still puts the ball over the fence. And then they went out and got Pete Alonso, who all he's ever done since becoming a Major League Baseball player has hit baseballs over the fence. Right. Pete last year, one of his more complete seasons, hit 270, hit 38 homers, drove in 126, had a career high in doubles with 41. He's going to be the middle of the order bat, and Taylor Ward probably will be sliced in right behind him. The top of the order, you're probably looking at Henderson, Holiday. Can they get a better? Can they get a better year out of Jordan Westburg? He was okay last year, hit 265, hit 17 homers.
They still have Tyler O'Neill.
Yeah, no idea what that just did.
That was awesome.
I have no idea what that just did. We're just going to ignore that. But anyway.
Yeah, they still have Tyler O'Neill. He had a down year last year, but he's still a 30-homer guy that you can put 5 or 6. And then I think the biggest X factor in that lineup right now, though, is Adley Rutschman. Because Adley Rutschman was borderline MVP candidate a couple of years ago. Top 3 catcher in baseball a couple of years ago. And now he's kind of hit a brick wall to the point where he's really been scuffling at the plate the last couple of years. Orioles have arguably the top catcher in baseball, top catching prospect in baseball, and Samuel Basallo, who's going to be their starting catcher this year. So what do you do with Rutschman then? Do you give him reps at first base? Do you use him as a DH? How do you incorporate him into your lineup? Because even at a down year, the guy's still going to get you 15 to 20 home runs. But when you have a catcher that's as good as Samuel Basallo is, you can't take him out of the catcher spot right now. Now you have to try to figure out how to get Rutschman back in your lineup.
Yeah. And like you said, it was just a down year across the board in Baltimore. Rutschman, another guy, only played 90 games last year. But again, when he's at his best, he's a 20-homer hitting catcher, which they don't grow on trees.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, with Basallo and him, it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of mesh them together. So, but when healthy, that lineup can hit with anybody. If those guys are healthy and Alonso and Ward can provide what they have there, that lineup can hit with anybody.
Yep,
now, yes, and the reason that I still have them as winners, they still have options in the rotation. Now, the one acquisition they did make was getting Shane Baz from Tampa Bay. Now, last year was his first full season back since Tommy John. Tommy John is a very good luck trying to figure out how to get through it. Because, yes, he pitched in 14 games in 2024, but now that he's been back for a full season, had 30 starts, the arm is fully stretched out. Hopefully, and he's still only 26. You kind of see him return to form with that big arm that Tampa saw. Because, last year, he was 10-12. ERA was high, 4.87. 176 strikeouts and 166 innings. I also think pitching in a minor league ballpark kind of didn't help either. A routine fly ball where they're playing goes out of that yard. So, but if you look at the games in 2024 that he pitched, he had a 3.06 ERA. before when he came back from Tommy John. So I think the Orioles are taking a big gamble in terms of what they see the potential in with Shane Baz. But if that arm, if he's that big arm still, he could be your number 2, number 3 starter. I mean, right now, number 1's a little outlandish, but they still have other guys in that rotation that can still prove something. Kyle Bradish is one. Zach Eflin is another. They brought him back on a 1-year deal.
He'll probably
Dean
be
Kramer.
He'll probably be their number 1 just based on experience.
Yeah, they still have Dean Kramer, Trevor Rogers, who they traded for with Miami and gave up Kyle Stowers, which I still don't love the move. But in 18 games started last year, Rogers was 9-3 with a 1.81 ERA.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he honestly stabilized a rotation that was not good. And then another guy that we'll have to keep in consideration as well is Tyler Wells, who's coming back from an injury, played 2025. He only pitched in 4 games.
Right.
And I believe Bradish, too, is another one that's coming back from injury. Yeah, he only pitched in 6 games. So, and when Bradish last pitched a full season in 2023, he was 12-7. So can these guys come back, get healthy, and solidify that rotation? Because if some of these guys can come back and be healthy, then they're sitting in better shape than what we think. And as for their bullpen, it's going to be a little interesting. I mean, we know Felix Bautista is not going to pitch this year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, elbow, shoulder surgery, back-to-back years, not a good sign.
No,
but so that'll be interesting to look forward to when he comes back healthy. But they bring back Ryan Helsley. They bring Helsley in out from the Mets. There's another guy the Mets lost. And I understand a lot of people could be concerned with what they saw with him from his time with the Mets. You cannot just get 2 closers in a bullpen and tell one of them you are no longer a closer.
Yep.
If there are athletes that are creatures of habit, it is Major League Baseball players. And when a guy goes from a 9th inning, I'm the last 3 outs guy, this is my role, they are used to that. Could you imagine taking Mariano Rivera and telling him he's the 8th inning guy? Now, granted, he probably could have done it because he was insane, but
right.
Helsley was the closer in St. Louis, and a damn good one. Still throws gas. Just now, the ballpark fit could be a little concerning because of what I just said about the Orioles lineup, but I think putting him back in a traditional closer's role will benefit him here. They still have Ynier Cano, who down year last year, he was a really good setup man to Bautista the past few years. Mm-hmm. If he can bounce back, that back end could be solid still. And didn't they bring back Andrew Kittredge?
Yes, they brought Kittredge back, yeah.
Yeah, Kittredge is back. So, I mean, he was solid last year.
Yeah, the thing with Helsley, though, he's not going to be the closer.
Who is?
Helsley's starting.
Are you insane?
No, the Orioles signed him to start.
Why?
Because he was a starter prior to becoming a closer with St. Louis. He actually got called up as a starter.
For the whole life of me, I hope you're wrong.
Because
whole life of me, I hope you're wrong.
He took the opposite approach that Wainwright did. When Wainwright got called up, remember he was the closer during the Cardinals World Series run?
Yeah, I still love watching him buckle Beltran's knees.
And then next season he was a starter, then he remained the starter like the next 14 years. Helsley came into baseball as a starter, struggled with his command out of the chute, so they moved him to the bullpen, which is where he's been ever since. But he came up to baseball, so they wanted the Orioles. That's why the Orioles paid him what they paid him, because they are giving him an opportunity to start.
Dear God, I hope you're wrong, because I don't like that at all. I like the idea of Helsley being their closer because, again, I still think it's because, again, Bautista's not going to be ready. He's not going to pitch this year.
I think Kittredge will be their closer.
Oh, I don't like that at all. I think Kittredge behind Cano and Helsley, I think that works better. I don't like that at all. But, okay, so I got one more winner. How many? And then we can move.
Yeah, I can throw one more. I can throw one more out there, too.
We may have the same.
Seattle.
Oh, you have Seattle. I have the Dodgers.
I have Seattle just because of getting Brendan Donovan. They needed to replace Eugenio Suarez. Granted, not nearly the same type of power, but they got Josh Naylor signed to a 5-year extension. So that was part of their deadline deal last year, was getting Josh Naylor. So you locked him up long term. You brought in Brendan Donovan, who's got, I think, 3 years of team control before he's even out of arbitration here. So you got him locked up for a while at a much cheaper price than what Suarez would have cost. And Donovan is a better overall hitter when you look at his average, when you look at his on base percentage and things like that. And he is an extremely flexible position player that can play a lot of different spots. Plus, the Mariners still have a good rotation. They haven't done a lot in terms of bringing people in, but the pieces they brought in make sense because those are the pieces they needed to address.
And I mean, like bringing back Naylor was a big one. And I agree. Losing Suarez sucks, but Donovan, better pure hitter, probably a better fielder without it. I mean, the guys won a Gold Glove.
And they got Rob Refsnyder, too. I forgot about that. Rob Refsnyder is going to be a lefty crusher, and that's a good ballpark if you're a lefty crusher. In.
Mashes left-handed pitching.
And that is a good ballpark to be if you're a right-handed hitter.
Yeah. And look, it's not like I know losing Suarez sucks. You still have Cal Raleigh. You still have Naylor. You still have a Rosarena. You still have Julio. They're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
And they're going to pitch their asses off. They have a great rotation, and they still have a really good bullpen, too. So where would you, before we move on to my last winner, where do we go with Brendan Donovan? Would he primarily be their second baseman?
Oh, boy. That's a tough one just because second base, they have Cole Young.
Rivas.
They have Cole Young. They have Rivas. They have Colt Emerson. Shortstop, they have J.P. Crawford. I think Donovan goes to third. And I think they leave Cole Young and Rivas platooning at second.
I don't hate that at all. I honestly don't hate that whatsoever. And then, I mean, Refsnyder, who's he platooning with? Probably.
He'll be a DH.
So, and would Refsnyder most likely be splitting time with who? Luke Raley?
Well, I mean, Julio's in center. Rosarena's in left. And then
so would it be
right field, you're going to have Victor Robles. You're going to have Dominique Canzone in right field. So it's probably going to be Raley and Refsnyder's platooning at DH.
Okay, yeah. I forgot about Canzone for a second. So many they have a lot of freaking depth in their outfield.
Yeah.
They're looking to give one up. I need some. And then look, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. The reigning world champions had two big issues going into the offseason. Their bullpen was an atrocity. They had to have Yamamoto pitching out of it in Game 7. So what do? You go get Edwin Diaz, the best closer on the market. Lovely. Just freaking lovely. So you got that. And then, you need another outfielder. Great. You went out and got Kyle Tucker for $60 million a year.
Yeah.
On top of all the other stuff you have. So I can keep it short and sweet with the Dodgers.
I mean, yes, they're winners, but they're also losers because they could be the reason why the sport goes into something that we'll talk about later.
That is true. Speaking of losers, let's jump into those real quick because we spent a lot of time on our winners. So let's hop into some losers here. Where do you want to start or do you want me to kick it off?
You can start with the losers.
Okay, well, I've been waiting for this. I'll try to keep it short. I can't keep it sweet, but I'll keep it short. One of my losers I have is my team, the Philadelphia Phillies. I love the Brad Keller edition. I think that bullpen is good. I know they traded Matt Strahm, but they still got a bunch of lefties in the pen. They still got Tanner Banks. They still got Jose Alvarado. They brought in a guy from Arizona. I like Brad Keller as that setup guy to Duran. I love all that. Everything else I hate. The rotation is what it is. I mean, hopefully Wheeler gets back healthy. If he's still who he is, then I'm not worried. Sanchez, if Aaron Nola can get back to what he is, that's also a plus. That's your top three. Losing Suarez hurts, but you're still going to have guys like Painter come up. You still have Luzardo, and Caleb Cotham's done a good job with him in his 1 year in Philadelphia. But, oh, my God, this lineup's going to drive me nuts. The same lineup again after not one, not two, not three, 4 straight postseasons where it is flamed out in the worst way. World Series in 22, NLCS in 23, Division Series the past 2 years. Every single year, this lineup has failed, and it gets another chance That's a redemption. Okay, you brought back Kyle Schwarber. Awesome. You needed to, because if you didn't, you're going to be significantly worse. But you're not better. Even with bringing back Kyle Schwarber, you're not better. You're the same team. You brought back JT. Eugenio Suarez hit 49 home runs last year and got $15 million for 1 year. Meanwhile, I paid the 35-year-old catcher $15 million for 3 years. So now I have one of the worst catching contracts on my books because there's no way he's catching by the third year of that contract. The lineup is still the damn same. The outfield's probably worse. Castellanos is out of here. He's going to be gone. Adolis Garcia is basically Cuban Max Kepler at this point. They've tried this 1 year, $10 million deal stuff the past few off seasons. They tried it with Whit Merrifield. That didn't work. They had to trade for Austin Hayes that year. That didn't work. Then they tried it with Max Kepler. That didn't work. They had to try and trade for Harrison Bader, who did work before he got injured. And then they let him lead to the Giants. And now I'm stuck with Adolis Garcia, Brandon Marsh, and Justin Crawford. Who I'm not knocking Justin Crawford. He's a kid. I haven't seen him play yet. I am high on him. I mean, if he hits 300, I don't care about his freaking how many balls he hits on the ground. If he's hitting 300, he's hitting 300. I don't care. But if he's anything like his dad, I don't care. But it's not him. I'm excited that I'm going to see some youth. I'm going to see Painter. I'm going to see Crawford. That's where I'm excited. It's everything else that I know. I'm sick of it. I'm going to watch Alec Boehm hit cleanup again and throw a hissy fit every time he doesn't get on base.
You're going to watch Nick Castellanos hit sixth.
Nick Castellanos is not coming back. They are going to DFA him at some point. Because that relationship with him and Rob Thompson, it got ugly last year, and it's not repairable. Adolis Garcia already is going to be your new right fielder, which, oh, good God, this just screams success. If you can't read the sarcasm. The rotation is still got the potential to be good, but again, you need Zach Wheeler to be healthy. You need Aaron Nola to be consistent. Luzardo and Sanchez, I still think are going to be fine. And then, of course, it comes down to Andrew Painter. They still have Taijuan Walker. I know some Phillies fans are not big Taijuan Walker people, but he gives you that guy that could be either your lawman or he can come in and give you spot starts if someone goes down. So as much as he hasn't lived up to that contract that they gave him, he's been serviceable, and he's a professional. He comes out, does what his job is that day, and does not complain. He's a professional, and I appreciate it for that. But the bullpen is going to be good. I like it. But, oh, my God, if somebody wants to try to play devil's advocate, please, because I am just so done with this lineup. I'm so done with it. Trey Turner's going to be fine. He'll hit 300 again. Bryce will be fine. He'll hit 30, drive in 80 probably until he gets hurt again, because he always does. He always has some weird lingering injury throughout the season. Schwarber will hit 40-plus like he always does. Adolis Garcia will be DFA'd by June. And I'm just going to be this team just torments me so much. Because they haven't gotten better. And Dombrowski will sit up there like, oh, we took the Dodgers to the wire. We outscored the Dodgers. Okay, well, good.
Hey, do you remember Vince Velasquez?
Oh, God. Yes. Do I want to?
He just signed a minor league deal with the Cubs.
Oh, good Lord. Have fun.
I like Vincey. I like Vinny Velocity.
Vinny Velocity, because that's the only pitch he knows how to throw.
Yes, sir.
Listen. If you say the word curveball to Vince Velasquez, that's like telling me to speak an entire sentence in Greek Orthodox. Jesus. But yeah, I don't know. If you want to add something to this, go ahead. But I'm just done with this.
Nope, you're good. I'll get into my first loser here, and it's good. It's kind of an interesting thought process on it. Mainly because I don't know how to even word this. Okay, ready? I have the Boston Red Sox as a loser.
I do too, actually.
I understand that they added Sonny Gray. I understand that they got Ranger Suarez. That top three of that freaking rotation is going to be flat out nasty. Gray, Suarez, Crochet. Yeah, that's not fun.
Don't sleep on Brian Bayo as well, because he's also a really solid
Carter Crawford. Cutter Crawford will be back healthy.
Yes. Yes.
Why I am calling them a loser kind of lingers back to last year. You brought in Alex Bregman last year to play third base, and you pissed off Rafael Devers. So in the process of pissing off Rafael Devers, you ended up trading him to the Giants because he basically said, I'm not going to play first base. Like, I'm a third baseman. I don't know why you want to move me. And then once he got traded to the Giants, then he's like, no, I'll play first base. It's fine. So obviously there was some bridges that got burned when they brought in Bregman last year, and it didn't sit well with Devers. But now you lost Bregman. So not only have you lost Rafael Devers, your franchise third baseman who you signed to a massive 10-year deal, but you also lost Alex Bregman in the last 2 off seasons, basically. You no longer have a third baseman. You no longer have a legitimate 35 to 40 homer, 100 RBI guy in your lineup. You brought in Wilson Contreras from the Cardinals, but he's not what he once was. You have Trevor Story. That guy has been a walking sheet of glass since you signed him. He's not what he once was. So, like, that's why I think they're the biggest loser, or one of the biggest losers, because not only have you lost Devers, but you lost Bregman. And you put all your ducks in a row because you thought Bregman was going to come back to you this offseason when he made it perfectly clear that he wanted to be a Chicago Cub last year. So you knew that when he opted out of his contract, if the Cubs even gave him a remotely respectable offer, that's where he was going to go over coming back to Boston. So now they're calling the Cubs trying to get Nico Horner, trying to get Matt Shaw to put at third base. Well, guess what? That's not going to happen.
No, and I mean, again, like as of right now, I guess we're looking at an infield of Contreras, who will probably play first base, Campbell, Story, and I guess Marcelo Mayer is going to play third, I guess. I don't know.
I think Contreras is going to even DH.
Yes, but Contreras did play a lot of first base for the Cardinals last year. That was the bugaboo spot for the Red Sox last year. They couldn't find anybody to consistently play first base.
They have that Tristan Casas as their first baseman.
Yes, if he comes back healthy and can still play. But, I mean, in terms of their outfield, they got a decent amount of outfielders. I mean, Willie Abreu's solid. Roman Anthony, they just gave a big contract to last year. Jarren Duran is still on the team. They still have Rafaela on the team.
Masataka Yoshida.
They still have Yoshida. Like, can we not trade one of these guys for an infielder? What are we doing here? You can't play 5 outfielders unless in Craig Breslo's head that you can. But and that's the point. Like you said, they're going to pitch, man. I mean, Crochet, Suarez, Sonny Gray. These guys are going to pitch. But the biggest deal you made after trading Devers was we got all that money off of the books and you put it nowhere. You did. I know I made the joke about outfielders, but you didn't go out and sign a Kyle Tucker, who I think could have been a decent fit in Boston. You didn't bring back Alex.
The guy would have hit 60 home runs in Boston. Let's be honest. You have a 302-foot right field line with a 3-foot fence. The guy could have hit a pop fly and it would have been all every time.
Like, you didn't go after a Kyle Tucker. You didn't go after a Kyle Schwarber. You lost Alex Bregman. You couldn't give Eugenio Suarez a 1-year deal for $15 million. What are you doing?
That's the one that I think is going to haunt Boston because I think Boston thought his market was going to be maybe not bigger than what it was, but I think they expected him to get a bigger payday than what he got. Had Boston known he was only going to get a 1-year, $15 million deal, they would have been all over that. They would have been like, shit, here's 1 year, $18 million. Come and just mash balls over the Green Monster all year.
Yeah. Like, what are they? Like,
I heard Anthony Rendon's available.
Oh, dear, don't do that. Hey, they want Alec Bohm? I'll give you Alec Bohm. I'll start at Mundo Sosa at third base. At least the vibes on the team will be fun.
Maybe go get Nomar Garciaparra out of retirement.
Mike Lowell, anybody? How we doing?
Nomar Garciaparra, anybody?
Hey, is Petey still around? Can Petey play still?
Scott Rowland could probably pick it over there yet.
Oh, dear God.
Might not be able to hit a lick anymore, but he could probably pick it still.
Probably pick it a little bit. Can he get the throw over to first? I don't know. We'll have Euclid come over and pick it for him. But yeah, And it's a shame because, like, I understand what Breslow and that the Red Sox are trying to do. They're trying to see how many of these young players they feel are going to be everyday players. I think Roman Anthony's going to be one of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Rafaela had a really solid year last year. I think. I mean, Christian Campbell didn't play very well in spurts. So, but the fact that you could have had a guy who had 49 home runs last year on 1 year, because again, why I don't know why teams are so opposed to going after guys now. You don't know what the future of your sport is. You might as well all go for it now.
Even if it's a 1 year deal, just spend the crap out of everything this year. Oh, like everyone doesn't want to overpay. If you're gonna overpay, this is the damn year to freaking overpay for somebody because you don't know what's gonna happen after this year. So if you want to spend $90 million on a guy for 1 year, F it, do it because you don't know what's gonna happen after this year.
Yeah, just give them the 90, defer 80 of it. You're good.
Or just give him a blank check and be like, here, write the total dollar amount in the blank space. We'll cover it. We'll cover it for this year. Don't worry about it.
Okay, my next loser up I have is all right. So I had Phillies. We both had the Red Sox. Another one I have is the Yankees. Outside of bringing back Cody Bellinger, what have they done? That lineup is so scary to me in a bad way. It's Aaron Judge, Cody Bellinger, and what?
I thought they had somebody else. I'm pulling up their depth chart right now. I thought they had. I mean, Austin Wells is decent.
That is about as decent as you're going to find on that team.
Jazz Chisholm has actually played much better since he got.
Okay,
Jazz Chisholm has actually played very well since that trade went through. They also retained. They also retained Trent Grisham. Trent Grisham is a good leadoff hitter.
But I mean, are you going to bank on him having another 30 homer year like he did last year?
I don't think anyone's going to bank on him having 30 home runs, but you shouldn't expect him to. You should expect him to get 15 to 20 and steal 25 bases like he used to do with the Padres.
But this is my point, though. They don't, outside of Bellinger and Judge, who in that lineup is scaring you? Like, Chisholm's okay, but he's not. I wouldn't say he strikes fear into my heart when I'm going against the Yankees. I'm saying, like, if it ain't Aaron Judge, who else is it?
No, but I think the key to them is getting Garrett Cole back.
Yes, because if they get Garrett Cole back and he's still Garrett Cole, then
Garrett Cole's going to be back. Carlos Rodon is going to be back. Luis Gil is going to be back. Max Fried's going to be obviously Max Fried. So like that top four of the rotation is ultimately what I think the Yankees are banking on, because they know they don't have a ton of power threats besides the three main guys that they do. But if they can get solid starting from those top four guys, that's going to be good enough to keep them in most games.
Not to mention Clark Schmidt should be back at some point, yeah. And you now have Cam Schlittler, who had that big postseason game against the Blue Jays. So,
and your bullpen is going to be set because now you have David Bednar back in the closer position as opposed to trying him in the setup role, which the Yankees are foolish for even trying to do that. So David Bednar is now going to be your closer, the guy that you traded for last year to make your closer. You're moving to the eighth inning now in Camilo Duvall. Then you got Paul Blackburn and Tim Hill in the seventh inning. So I mean, the back of that bullpen is also good.
And don't forget, they also have Fernando Cruz, who they got in a trade last year with the Reds, who had a really good year when he was healthy. So, I don't know. I feel like it's still just, there's a lot of what ifs on this team, and I don't think, but again, it's the Yankees. They are a loser because the expectations. Mm-hmm. What the Dodgers are doing now, the Yankees used to do. Now it's like.
Well, the Yankees owner said they're losing money, so.
I want a physical copy of those books to tell me the New York Yankees are losing money.
Apparently, according to their owner at the GM meetings this year, that he said the Yankees lost $210 million last year.
I'd love to see.
For what they're paying their players, for what they're paying in stadium fees and all the other stuff, and comparing what they're actually getting for a TV deal. Their TV deal isn't as much as what people think it is. That's why they're losing money, is because the TV deal is not paying for the stuff like the Dodgers TV deal does.
That is true.
There was only 2 teams in baseball that actually made money last year. Everybody else lost money.
like we said, this is going to be a very interesting season, and after it, it's just going to be even freaking.
So
All right.
my last loser, I'm sticking with my division on this one, is the Milwaukee Brewers.
Don't hate that one.
Not only do you give up Freddie Peralta, who was your ace because you don't have Corbin Burns anymore, Brandon Woodruff has now been injured more than he's been healthy the last couple of years. The top of your rotation outside of Jacob Mezorowski is full of question marks, and it's full of guys like Quinn Priester, Chad Patrick, and a bunch of other rookies that have maybe a combined 60 starts under their belt between 5 guys. So there's so many questions with that rotation. Then you look at your lineup. You had a hole at third base. Why didn't you go after Eugenio Suarez? Why didn't you go after Alex Bregman? Why didn't you spend money? How much money did the Brewers spend this offseason, do you know?
No.
Zero.
No, so they're like the Red Sox until they sign Suarez.
The Brewers spent $0 in free agency this offseason. All of their upgrades have come via trade or basically calling people up from the minors. They have spent $0 this offseason. For a team that had the best record in the National League last year, for a team that went to the NLCS last year, you spent $0 on your roster. That makes you instantly one of the biggest losers in baseball. How you don't even spend a single dollar to upgrade any position. Could have been a bullpen. You could have spent $2 million on your bullpen, and you didn't even do anything. You literally spent $0 and lost Freddie Peralta in the process.
Yeah,
and you offered William Contreras, probably the second best catcher in baseball behind, I'd say, the Big Dumper, a $12 million contract. You think he's taking that?
No. No one's going to take that at this point. No, you're not wrong. And I mean, and that's the bad look for baseball is that a team with the best record in the National League spends zero money to get better, while a team that is spending hand over fist just to win their third straight World Series.
Yep. And then I do have one more. I do have one more loser too.
Who you got?
The Tigers.
That's actually my last one because
and it's not because of what they brought in. It's because of how they handled the Tarik Skubal situation. They screwed themselves. They legitimately screwed themselves. Normally, I would side with an organization when you have arbitration because arbitration is basically players trying to get as much money as they possibly can based on service time, even if they don't deserve what they're asking. You mean to tell me that Skubal is not worth $30 million a year?
According to them, no.
The Tigers offered him freaking $17 million. There are middle-of-the-rotation arms that make $20 million. And you're trying to tell me that a bona fide Cy Young candidate year in and year out is not worth $32 million. So guess what? Not only are you going to lose your arbitration case because Tarik Skubal is going to get his $32 million, and if he doesn't get $32 million, he's going to get at least like $25, $26 million. So not only are you going to lose your arbitration case, you might as well trade him the day after that happens because he ain't going to re-sign with you when the season's over.
No chance.
So you pretty much just shot yourselves in the foot royally.
And, I mean, look, the few things the Tigers did do, I mean, they brought Kyle Finnegan back. They brought in Kenley Jansen to help their bullpen. Their bullpen is solid. But for a team last year that was so dominant in the first half of the year, and then you watched them completely flounder down the stretch because their offense went dead, the fact that you did nothing to address it, that's another issue I had. I mean, all you did was bring back Gleyber Torres.
Woohoo!
I mean, what's that do for you? Another team. I mean, you heard them. They were supposed to be hot on Bregman the entire offseason. They didn't do anything. They could have brought in Suarez. They could have done a lot of things, but they didn't do anything, and that's why they're in my last loser too.
I think it all hinders once they I hate to say it because you never want to go into an offseason putting like all your ducks in a row for one person. But I think once Skubal turned down that offer, it kind of screwed with their offseason plans. Because I think they calculated it enough where if Skubal takes this, then this gives us X amount of money to spend and go get these guys. But knowing that he declined your arbitration offer, now you don't know what you're ultimately going to have to pay Scooble. You can't really sign people until your arbitration hearing is done with Scooble to find out how much money you have to play with.
Yep.
And that's, I think, why some of these other pitchers haven't signed yet either, because they're waiting to see what Scooble gets. Because if Scooble ends up getting $30 million, well, then the rest of the starting pitchers on the market are going to ask for $25 to $30 million. But if by chance, all of a sudden Scooble gets closer to that $20 million mark, maybe $22 million, now these starters are going to be like, well, I better take a $20 million offer because I ain't getting more than Scooble.
Yeah, this is going to be a very that arbitration hearing is going to be very interesting.
I think it's set for Friday.
Oh boy! All right. So now that we've gone through our offseason winners and losers, before we get into the state of Major League Baseball, which we kind of already have touched on a little bit here and there are still some solid players that are still looking for new homes with spring training right around the corner. Now, I'm not going to go through every player on each list here, but I have a couple that I want to talk about from each position. And we're going to start off with some infielders. And the first one I want to bring up is Paul Goldschmidt.
Goldie!
Where do we think is a good spot for Paulie?
I guess it depends on your situation, but I'm going to be a homer, and I'm going to say a good situation for him is to come to the Cubs. He's 37 years old, I think, or 36. So he's kind of getting to that point in his career where he shouldn't expect to be an everyday player anymore. The Cubs have a good first baseman to borderline elite first baseman in Michael Busch, who hit 34 home runs last year. He played well, but he still struggles a little bit against lefties. He got better last year, but he still struggles against lefties. They have a DH that is supposed to be occupied by a 20-year-old rookie this year. There's no hey, before you give me that look, you need to look at this 20-year-old rookie before you say anything, because he's being compared to David Ortiz. So if you can
it's just when you hear 20-year-old DH, that doesn't really.
Yeah, so I mean, there's no guarantee that he's. There, what happened? What did it go?
Restring kicked us both out for a second.
Yeah. So there's no guarantee that Moises Ballesteros is going to be like an elite player right out the chute.
Oh, there goes me again.
Yeah, so there's no guarantee that Moises Ballesteros is going to be an elite player right out the chute.
Yeah.
The Cubs were the second worst hitting team in baseball last year against lefties.
Oof.
Paul Goldschmidt is a lefty masher. You bring in Goldschmidt, you can platoon him at first base with Michael Busch should he struggle against lefties again. You can platoon him with Ballesteros at DH because Ballesteros is a lefty. So you're getting Goldschmidt in that lineup plenty of games. He'll probably give you 100, 110 games maybe based on matchups. But if you can get 110 games out of Paul Goldschmidt with 15 home runs, 50-plus RBIs, where pretty much all he's doing is hitting lefties, that's a win-win for both sides on like a 1 year, $12 to $14 million deal.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I actually really like that idea. I mean, another team that I could bring up, maybe like, the year we brought up about Contreras DHing, maybe the Red Sox. I know Costas is there, but still.
Or Arizona.
Could be another.
Arizona for a reunion.
I would love it. That's my dream. I know they have Tyler Locklear, but I would love a Paul Goldschmidt reunion.
First baseman, though. Just make Goldschmidt your full-time DH in Arizona.
Or vice versa, whoever you want. Yeah. One day someone could play first, one day someone could DH. I would love him to go back to Arizona. That's my ideal landing spot. All right, another one that I'm thinking about for this, last one for this infield spot, Rhys Hoskins.
Similar situation with Goldschmidt. Right-handed hitting first baseman that's got power. Hits lefties. Cubs need help against lefties. Before they traded for Michael Busch in 2024, they tried to get Rhys Hoskins. They just did not want to commit that second year to his contract, knowing that he was coming off of that torn ACL. And he ultimately took a 2-year, $34 million deal with the Brewers. Had he been willing to take a 1-year deal, I think he signs with the Cubs in 2024. It's kind of the same situation. Give him a 1-year, $11 million prove-it deal that he can still play. Throw him in there against lefties. You know you're going to get 15 to 20 homers out of him. You know he's going to hit at least 270 consistently against lefties. You could throw him in there for a spot start every now and then against righties, but he's just more of a left-handed platoon player at this point, and the Cubs have room for that.
A team that I'm going to go for here for Rhys Hoskins, I'm going to go with the Texas Rangers. I think they could use a little more pop in that lineup. I mean, Marcus Semien is gone.
He would replace Adolis.
Yeah, so I mean, he would basically be your right-handed replacement for Adolis. So I think the Texas Rangers make some sense there. All right, now let's move on to some starting pitchers. There's a few.
Yep.
Top one, let's just start with Framber Valdez. Let's just get that out of the way.
I'm going to say this right now. I don't think he gets more than a 1-year deal. And I think a lot of it hinges on the relationship he had with his catchers last year.
Yeah.
Had he not done what he did, he would have been signed months ago. It's the fact that if you can't get along with your catchers, pitch count ain't going to make a difference because you're never going to agree on the pitch that you want to throw anyways. But if I'm looking at a team that could use Framber Valdez, Phillies could use another starter that's at least healthy and reliable because, Zach Wheeler, we don't know how Zach Wheeler is going to bounce back. Jesus Luzardo's had an injury history his entire career besides last season. So having a guy like Valdez in the middle to front of your rotation to at least give you durability would be nice. The Mets, I'm just, waiting for the Mets to be like, oh, here's a 1-year, $40 million deal. Valdez, come and be our number 2 starter behind Peralta and ahead of, our nice little rookie, Nate McLean. Yeah, that'd be a nice top 3. Those are 2 teams that I think are looking at Valdez. And honestly, if the Brewers would actually spend a little money, they could use them because they don't have Peralta anymore.
I like all those options. I would love him for the Phillies, like you said, and bring another proven guy to the top of that rotation. My ideal landing spot, though, it sounds like they've had an offer on the table for him since like the early offseason. I'm still sticking with the Orioles. I think if you put Valdez at the top of that rotation with Shane Baz, Kyle Bradish, all the guys I brought up earlier, I think that solidifies the Orioles as a really big threat in the AL East because even though we said we had the Yankees and Red Sox as losers, that AL East this year is going to be a bloodbath.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like the idea of him going to Baltimore. I love the idea of the Mets. You put him up there at the top of Freddie Peralta. Oh, my God. You don't get a 1-2 punch much better than that. And then, like you said, if Zach Wheeler isn't ready, if Aaron Nola isn't Aaron Nola anymore, he could really help out the Phillies a lot. So, but yeah, I'm going to go with my number 1 spot, though, is Baltimore. I think it's something they need to do. All right. Next up, Zach Gallen.
It seemed like the Cubs had a deal put in place for him back in December because there was a report out there that the Cubs signed him to a 2-year, I think $42 million deal, and then later that day it said, well, this is not accurate, yada, yada, yada. They've been talking all winter. Like, they are close, I feel, to getting a deal done. I think right now it's more so the years and the money that could be the hang-up. Either he's fine with the years and he's not fine with, like, the AAV, or he's fine with the AAV, but he wants, like, another year added onto it. Like, I think they're still talking, and ultimately, I always say this when it comes to free agency, where there's smoke, there's fire. So the longer that these teams stay engaged, the more likely it is to happen that Gallen ends up where he's going to be, which I do think he ends up on Chicago just because they are the one team that's pretty much been linked to him since the start of the offseason. And as the offseason's progressed, you've heard like the Orioles get involved. You've heard other teams get involved with him, but the one constant has been the Cubs and Gallen, the Cubs and Gallen, the Cubs and Gallen. But I think the perfect landing spot for Gallen would just be to go back to Arizona.
Yeah.
Even on a 1-year deal, just go back to Arizona, prove that last season's struggles were a fluke for whatever reason, and try to build up. Like, if you go back to Arizona and you prove that last season was a fluke, and you get close to the way you were in 2023 and 2024, you're getting a 4 or 5 year deal the next offseason. Like, it doesn't hurt you to take a 1-year, $25 million deal to return to Arizona just to show that last season wasn't the type of pitcher you are.
Yeah, and I mean, they brought back Merrill Kelly already this offseason. So, I mean, and they still have, Brandon Pfaadt. They still have a bunch of guys there, and they brought in Nolan Arenado.
Corbin Burns will be back the second half of the year. Like, their rotation isn't in that bad of a spot if Gallen comes back.
Basically, where I'm at with Zach Gallen is anywhere that whatever team doesn't get Frommer. So, like, if he goes to Baltimore, maybe Toronto pivots that way. I really still like the idea of him going to the Cubs now. Now that you have Edward Cabrera, you have the guys that you have now. I still like that idea, but
He'd be your number
Baltimore,
6.
what's that?
He'd be the Cubs' number 6.
Welcome to this day and age of baseball, ladies and gentlemen, where Zach Gallen would be the 6th best pitcher on a team.
He's always probably better than the 6th best pitcher, but I mean, your top 3 would be Horton, Cabrera, Boyd. Your 4 would be Tyone. Your 5 would be Imanaga, and then you have Steele and Gallen.
Yeah.
He'd be your number 5 or number 6.
So, yeah, I like the fit there. I like the fit in Chicago. I like Baltimore if they don't get Valdez. Maybe Toronto. Maybe. But they're so deep at starting pitcher.
I think it's going to be between the Diamondbacks, Orioles, and Cubs. I think those 3 are going to be the ones fighting for Gallen, just because I don't see a team like the Orioles giving Valdez 5 years like the Mets would.
No.
That's kind of where I think, like, if it's a short-term deal, I think Valdez goes to the Orioles. But if it starts getting priced out to like a lengthier 5-year deal, then the Mets get Valdez, and then it's going to be like the Cubs, the Orioles, the Diamondbacks, and pretty much everybody else lining up for Gallen at that point because they know he's going to take a shorter-term deal.
All right, let's see what else. All right, here's another one. I only have a couple other stars. I'm not ringing off all these freaking guys here because some I could care less about. Here's another name that makes. I feel like he would be the third guy after those two. Chris Bassett.
I would stay in Toronto if I was him. Just sign a 1-year deal, be the team's number 5 starter, and I mean, you're going to be 37 in August, I believe. So then you're hitting the 2027 offseason, 37 years old. Not sure what's going to happen after that. Maybe this is the last deal you can get.
Yeah.
Brewers, he's a guy that you could get for $15 million a year, 2-year 30, 1-year 15. He's probably your number 2, number 3 starter in the Brewers rotation. Phillies, durable starter who's made at least 30 starts the last 4 years, I think. He's giving you guaranteed to give you 160 innings.
I think a team like Atlanta can make a lot of sense for Bassett too, or
Atlanta.
even Zach Gallen for that matter. They're starting pitching when they're healthy. They got a decent amount, but man, that team is so banged up over the past few years. I don't know.
Orioles after Bassett.
Yep, another one that makes sense.
I do think a team that hasn't been mentioned with him, though, that I wouldn't be surprised if they made a play for him, knowing the type of park they play in and how it might actually benefit him, is San Francisco.
Yeah, that could make a lot of sense out there. That ballpark would fit him well.
Pitcher-friendly park. He's a guy that doesn't throw with a ton of velocity. He doesn't give up a lot of home runs, but he gives up a lot of hard contact. But put him in San Francisco, you can give up hard hit fly balls all day, and they're not going to leave that yard.
Yeah, and if you have a ground ball fetish, just don't hit. Just pray that they're going to the left side, not the right. But anyway.
And then you have Logan Webb and Bassett as kind of your top 2 in San Francisco then.
Yeah, and you still have Robbie Ray.
Yep.
All right, I got 3 more that I want to get into. The others are kind of just whatever at this point. Lucas Giolito, who had a pretty strong year last year in Boston. But ultimately, he's probably lost his spot in Boston.
Yeah. A lot of teams, I mean, he's going to have to take a 1-year deal.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think at this point, most of these guys got to take 1-year deals.
I would say the Twins. Just because at some point, I think the Twins are going to have to trade off Pablo Lopez or Joe Ryan.
Which is probably going to be this year. Because I thought we thought Joe Ryan was getting dealt last year.
I think Joe Ryan stays. I think Pablo Lopez is the one that goes because he's in the final year of his deal. So you're going to need a starter at some point this year. So why not just add Giolito now on a 1-year deal, and you trade Pablo Lopez in June, you trade him in July, then you still have Giolito there as insurance.
I'm going to go with the Marlins for Giolito. Traded away Edward Cabrera. Going to need someone to fill in that spot.
And they traded away that Ryan. Oh, shit, I forgot about him. We didn't talk about him with the Yankees. Ryan Weathers.
Who? Oh, yeah, I forgot Ryan Weathers also got dealt, so...
He went to the Yankees in that rotation.
Okay, that's a pretty damn solid addition too.
That's
So
why
okay,
I didn't put him as a loser because I forgot they got him.
damn, but yeah, I think Giolito would make some sense there in Miami. Another guy that could make sense for the Marlins would be Zach Littell, who also was pretty damn solid through his couple destinations last year. But all right, last two I got couple pair of probably future Hall of Famers. Justin Verlander.
Well, let's just do a swan song with Justin Verlander and go back to Detroit.
Yes, thank you. I was literally going to say that. Let's end it where it all started. Let's end two eras. Let Justin Verlander end his era in Detroit the same year Tarik Skubal ends his.
I mean, Justin Verlander wanted to pitch for the Cubs a long time ago. Like, I'm talking 2017 through 2021. He was trying to get traded to the Cubs multiple times. But at this point, I don't want him. And I'm not like, obviously, he's not the same Verlander he was. I mean, if the price was right, and knock on wood, let's just say I lose Cabrera and I lose Horton and I lose Tyone and I absolutely need a starter at some point, sure, I'll pick Verlander in for $10 million just because I know he's going to give me innings and he's durable. But he's in year 21 now. He's 42 years old. Let him just go back where it started. Sign him to a 1 year, $10 million deal. Put him as your number 5 starter in Detroit. Whatever happens, happens. Then he can just retire as a Tiger.
Yeah, I agree. And then the last one I got for starting pitchers, and the reason I went so deep on starting pitchers because there's not many other names outside of the starting pitchers I'm going to bring up. Max Scherzer.
See, this is the interesting one because of what Max Scherzer said the other day. Max Scherzer has no problem waiting until June to sign. Which leads me to believe one of two things. Either A, he doesn't feel like he's 100% healthy right now. And doesn't want to sign a contract until he's healthy. And B, he doesn't like any of the options out there, as in he wants to be guaranteed that he's going to be in that rotation. And maybe the teams that have offered him that deal right now have guaranteed him a spot to audition for the rotation, but haven't necessarily been like, you're going to be one of our starting 5. So I think he's going to kind of wait around for a little bit, waiting to see kind of what teams get injuries to their starting staff, which team needs people to fill in, and then he'd be like, oh, I'll sign a 1 year, whatever. Toronto, I think getting him back, I don't see him going back to Toronto, but if they sign him, it is what it is. But I'm going to throw out the same situation as Verlander. Send him back to the Nationals. Like, why not?
I don't want to deal with him again.
But he's not the same Scherzer he once was.
Against my team, he will be.
Or if you really want to get cute, why don't you just send him back to Detroit with Verlander? They both were in Detroit at one time.
Or you want to get really, really cute, go back to Arizona where it really all began.
No, Arizona, I won't take him back. They have too many pitchers to play with right now.
I got an interesting one for Scherzer. I'm going to go with San Diego. Because let's think of something, right? Darvish is having elbow issues. Michael King wasn't healthy last year, even though he got re-signed, had the shoulder issue. Joe Musgrove still recovering from an elbow issue the year prior in the postseason. I could see them saying, hey, look, we need another guy that's healthy and in this rotation. Why not give Max a call and see if he'd be interested?
Right.
So, but all right, that's where I'm at.
The guy doesn't throw 96, 97 anymore, but he's still throwing 95. You know what you're going to get. You know what you're going to get. Obviously, you're probably not going to get 30 starts out of him anymore at this point, but you know you're going to get 20 starts out of him. You know you're going to get 120 innings, which is 6 innings per start. He's a strike thrower. He's going to get guys out. He's going to make people scared to death when you look at 2 different colored eyes. I mean, he's just one of those guys out there that when you see him on the mound, it's like, oh, shit, I know who this guy is. Oh, crap, don't look at me.
Okay, so there is not much outside of the starting pitchers and the few infielders we brought up. There's only one other name that I'm kind of interested to see where they land, so I'm just going to bring it up. Plus, I want to get to the state of Major League Baseball before we get out of here. Yeah. Miguel Andujar.
According to reports this morning, the Cubs are close.
Really?
On a 2-year, 17.
Interesting.
That's what Bruce Levine on ESPN Chicago said this morning.
It's funny because the team that I actually thought would be a very good destination for Andahar would be the Pirates because I thought they could use another right-handed bat. I mean, he had a really good year last year between the A's and the freaking Reds, and I think they could use another right-handed bat. They've had a pretty solid offseason. They brought in Ryan O'Hearn. They brought in Brandon Lau.
They spent a
They've
lot of
done some
money.
things.
They spent a lot of money for a change.
I couldn't believe when I saw it. So I think the Pirates would make some sense.
Realistically, though, if I was Miguel Andujar, I'd say the Padres would be the ideal fit because you lost Luis Ariz. You need a bat. You need a bat to ball guy that you can put towards the top of that lineup. Miguel Andujar is a bat to ball guy.
Yeah, I don't hate it. And I also think, and the reason I went with the Pirates is because I thought they could have been in on Suarez. Now, clearly, they're not the same guy, bat the ball guy versus a power guy, but I do still think a right-handed bat in that Pirate order could help them. They've done pretty well so far, so I think it'd be, but no, I don't hate the idea of the Padres. The Padres have been very quiet this winter.
Oh, the Royals just signed Brandon Drury to a minor league deal.
Oh my God.
Sign him up. Let's go. Everybody gets a turn right now.
Everyone's getting signed.
Cubs added Vince Velasquez. They added Owen Miller.
Let's not talk about Vince Velasquez. Okay, you're putting me back in a really dark time in Phillies baseball.
Cubs signed indie ball right-hander George Kablastis, who threw 107 miles an hour last year in an indie ball game.
And his arms are still attached to his body?
He's 34.
Jeez. But, all right, Dustin, do we want to, real quickly before we get out of here, do we want to discuss the state of this sport and where we're at with?
So, okay. I am going to kind of put this in two ways.
Okay.
Yes, the Dodgers are a problem. Yes, the Dodgers are going to be the reason why the sport probably goes into a lockout. And it's not because they are just signing virtually every free agent. It's the fact that they're deferring the money and not paying the money up front. It's the fact that they have a TV deal that pays them $2.6 billion a year when everybody else's TV deal is about $200 to $300 million. So that's already an unfair playing field for these teams because they don't get the same kind of revenue sharing that the Dodgers get.
Yeah.
But the other reason why this sport is going into a lockout is you have teams like the Brewers, teams like the Marlins, teams like the Rays, the Royals that don't spend shit in free agency. So for all these people that are getting mad at the Dodgers because of what the Dodgers are doing, you still have to get mad at the Marlins. You still have to get mad at the Brewers because they aren't even making an effort to sign anybody. Like, they're like, well, we just won the division last year. We're not going to spend a single dollar. So one less free agent that we're going after allows the Dodgers to go after these teams as well. Do I think a salary cap is coming? I do. And that's ultimately why I think a lockout is going. What the crimey sakes? Oh, my camera just randomly shut me off. That's impressive. So anyways, that's why I think the sport is going to go into a lockout, just because I think that the owners want a cap. Obviously, the players don't. No. But I also think there's going to be a salary floor where they're going to force teams to spend X amount of money every offseason to be like, all right, we gave you guys a cap, but part of the agreement is you need to also spend money to get to this level. I think it's going to be between a $90 million payroll for your salary floor, where every team has to be at that $90 million payroll spot, and I think the cap is going to be set at 270. So you'll have to be between 90 and 270.
And I think another thing that we are going to see is maybe there is something done with how much money you can defer on contracts, because your Shohei's $70 million a year, and they're deferring 68.
Yeah, something like that. I can't even remember.
That is video game stuff, and but I agree with you. People keep saying, "Oh, well, the Dodgers don't hate the player, hate." So, Reese Street doesn't want us to talk about this.
Yeah, that's what Reese Street feels like. No, we're not going to talk about the Dodgers.
You will not talk. All right, so the owner of Restream is clearly a Padres fan. We've hurt their feelings, but
Well,
anyway,
the
no.
owner of Restream is giving the Dodgers some of the revenue sharing.
But no, I agree. You can't get mad at a team that does spend money, but when there's teams that are just blatantly not doing anything, like you said, the Brewers had the best record in the National League, and they traded their ace
And then spend a single cent.
and haven't spent a dime. The Boston Red Sox, who had 90 wins last year, signed one player.
But at least they traded for Sonny Gray though. Like those, like the Red Sox, I can
Yeah.
at least be okay with because they're still taking on Sonny Gray's contract. So it's not like they're not taking money onto their payroll. Like they're still taking on Sonny Gray's contract.
Yeah.
It's just the deferred money is what bothers me the most, I guess, because that's essentially acting like you're taking out a loan on these players. And that's essentially acting like, oh, we don't have this kind of money to pay the players this much right now. So we're going to take out a loan and pay it back over X amount of years. Well, then why should you be allowed to sign this player if you're going to defer all this money? Like,
I agree. I don't like the deferred money is the bigger issue because the Dodgers couldn't. If you can't defer that much money, then you can't sign that many players. You got to think, well, we still got to pay. So, but
with
again,
deferred money, then why not take the deferred money and make it into a signing bonus like the NFL has, like the NBA has?
yeah, why
But
not?
they don't do signing bonuses in baseball. But yeah, the deferred, like the Dodgers signing all these players, it is what it is. Like you're gonna have a team that does that. It's gonna happen. It is what it is. It's the fact that they defer everything, and that's what
Yankees.
bothers me the most.
Yeah, the Yankees were doing it in the early 2000s.
And teams know that. Teams know that if you defer the money, you still have to pay the money. But all these teams don't want all this money on their books 20, 25 years down the line. So they're like treating it as a smart business decision where they don't want to take all these loans on.
Yeah, nobody wants another Bobby Bonilla situation.
And the Dodgers got 12 of them.
Yeah. But I agree. I think a big issue is what the Dodgers do is what they do. Yes, but I still think a big issue is you want to tell me, oh, you're basically telling me I have to feel bad for millionaires. Sorry, I'm not in the business of feeling bad for millionaires. I'm not in that boat at all. So
yeah,
I'm not in that boat to freaking feel bad for millionaire owners who don't want to spend a dime of their money. You want to collect the revenue and be greedy? Well, that's why we're in what we're in. The Dodgers are not. They're guilty too. But for me, there's going to be a cap. There has to be a floor, and there has to be something done with deferred money. You can still defer some, but you can't defer 98% of a contract yearly.
Well, if that's the case, and kind of what you just said right there, I would be okay with deferred money if every team had a limit to what they could do.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Ohtani's making $2 million a year as he plays for the Dodgers.
No, he's making 10, but he still has 60 million deferred though.
But like exactly though, like that's stupid.
Kyle Tucker, he's got deferred money.
Edwin Diaz has deferred money. They all have deferred money.
If they came out with a rule saying that every team can have upwards of $25 to $30 million in total deferred money, I'd be fine with it. Whether you use all 30 of that on one player or if you sign 5 guys and you spread it out throughout those 5 guys, I'd be fine with it.
Me too. I would 100% be that, but you can't defer 90% of a guy's yearly salary just because you can't. Because
do you know how much money the Dodgers have in deferred money just this year?
Is it like 1.2 billion?
No, that is their like payroll with everything included. So if you go, hold on, I saw it this morning. Hold on. So if you go based on what they have in deferred money, the Dodgers owe $864 million in deferred money. That is more than every freaking payroll in baseball that they owe more in deferred money on.
Yep. This is why we are at where we are.
And even if you did that in like a 10-year loan cycle, basically. That is still $87 million a year, which is bigger than 15 Major League Baseball payrolls in deferred money that you're averaging out per year.
It's ridiculous. Like we said, salary cap, fine, salary floor, and then there needs to be a deferred money cap. Like you have to cap it somewhere because you can't give a guy 70 million a year and he's making 10 like during his time on the team. It's
Like
ridiculous.
as a player though, I don't even know if I would want to do that.
Well, I mean, now we got. I mean, that's a big reason why the Phillies and the Bo Bichette thing happened. He came and said, "Oh, I want 7 years, 200," and the Phillies said, "Okay, here it is." But then the Mets said, "Well, here we'll give you a 3-year deal with opt-outs, but you're going to make $42 million a year for next year."
Yeah, like I don't know if I'm a player, I don't know if I would do a deferred deal right now because the problem comes in for the Dodgers. Not that it's a problem because I really hope it happens to them, but if we do go into a lockout, which you know what, I'm just gonna say it's gonna happen. It's just a matter of
And
how long it happens. Whether it's a 1 year lockout, there are some people, some sources that I'm very very close to that have said they expect this lockout to last 18 to 20 months, which could be almost 2 years of no baseball. If we have a lockout that's that long, everybody has said the Dodgers are going to have to file for bankruptcy. And if they file for bankruptcy, all the contracts and all the deferred money are voided, which means the players don't get that. So as a player, why would you want to sign with the Dodgers right now, knowing that if they file bankruptcy, you don't get whatever that deferred money is? You only get what you have made up to that point.
yeah, I mean, this whole thing is just becoming a very big, tricky mess. And unfortunately, this comes down to the saying: it's going to get a whole lot worse before it even
Or
comes
if it's
close to
better.
getting better.
Yep.
But anyway, Dustin, do we have anything else you want to add on to this episode?
I mean, we can talk about our plans in the coming weeks. We just don't have to give out names at this point yet, but we can kind of fill them
We
in for
do.
what's coming in the coming weeks.
Oh, we do, because guys, we do have some big things coming for Hitting Home. We are going to be live like I said, every Wednesday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We're going to come out here, bring you some of the stuff going around Major League Baseball. We're going to give our opinions on stuff. We are going to have some special guests join the show from time to time. It's going to be a really fun show. So, guys, we hope you guys are prepared for some really good weekly baseball coverage because we got you guys covered. So, we got some big things planned for this. But in that being said, I think it is time to bid our lovely fans farewell for today. So, guys, want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, everyone who tuned in and watched. We know this is a little different for 609. Usually we have our shows in the evening. A morning show going to be kind of figured to be it'll take some time to get some consistency in here, especially with the comments. We know people have work and all that stuff. So, we know it's going to take some time to build it. But guys, if you tuned in at all during the show, thank you for tuning in. If you haven't, please go back, give it a watch. We covered off-season winners and losers. We covered best remaining free agents. We gave our opinion here a little bit on the state of baseball, where we think it's going to be heading after 2026. Oh, and not to mention, Restream like to play musical chairs with our cameras for about 3 or 4 times during the show. So
I don't know what the heck it did to my camera. I keep clicking the camera button and it ain't turning back on, so it must really not want me on camera right now.
Yeah, it is probably just because they probably have some type of connection issue going on right now. But luckily, I checked the platforms. The show didn't get cut out at all, so we lucked out there. But guys, we are going to get up on out of here. Remember, this Friday, the last Friday night gridiron picks of the season, Super Bowl 60 preview show. We live Friday at 8 o'clock. Unbiased, of course, every Monday at 7. And, of course, this will be every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So, guys, thank you all for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you didn't get a chance to give it a look, please go back and give it a watch. We greatly appreciate it. And for Dustin and I, we will see you guys next Wednesday. So, for Dustin Reese and his lack of a camera, I'm Sam Nelson. Have a nice day, everybody.
Later, guys.
The following has been a presentation of 609 Sports Talk Radio.
Sam, what did you do?